Starfield design director calls out unfair game criticism. Don't fool yourself into thinking you know why it is the way it is. Emil Pagliarulo says an awful lot of outspoken critics are disconnected from the realities of game development. Starfield did not land with quite the positive thump that just about everyone expected, and lots of people have thoughts about why. And that has apparently inspired Starfield design director Emil Pagliarulo to muse about how confident some of those critics are in their opinions, despite how disconnected they are from the process of actually making games. Yeah, yo, well played, Tinwin. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah, no doubt about it, dude. Yeah. Very well played, sir. Yes. Yeah, I'll clap to that one, dude. Absolutely. Funny how disconnected some players are from the realities of game development, and yet they speak with complete authority, Pagliarulo said in a lengthy Twitter thread. I mean, I can guess what it takes to make a Hostess Twinkie, but I don't work in the factory. So what the heck do I know, really? Not a lot. Part of me really gets it. When you're a consumer and spend money on things, that gives you the right to complain about those things. I spend a lot of money on games every year. Sometimes it takes a lot for me to not scream into the internet's collective consciousness. Pagliarulo said he's held back by two constraints. Excuse me. He knows how hard it is to make games and has too much respect for those who do it. And it would be both unprofessional and uncool if he did. And back in the days when he was a game reviewer, he was absolutely that person who would say whatever I wanted about a game, good or bad. But in those days, he continued, he had no idea how much work and stress was involved in making a game. Now, after more than 20 years at Bethesda, he's well aware that the process of making games is a series of concessions and tough decisions. And naturally, that's changed his perspective. While he's not trying to change anyone's mind on the matter, he'd clearly like it if people were a little more thoughtful about their criticism. You can dislike parts of a game, you can hate on a game entirely, Pagliarulo tweeted, but don't fool yourself into thinking you know why it is the way it is unless it's somehow documented or verified, or how it got to be that way, good or bad. Chances are, unless you've made a game yourself, you don't know who made certain decisions. I think most of us know who make most of the decisions on the AAA front anymore, right? Who did specific work, how many people were actually available to do that work anytime challenges faced, or how often you had to overcome technology itself. This one is huge. So yes, love games, buy them, play them, and complain to your heart's content. Sort of the nature of the developer-player transactional relationship, but just know that the game you're playing is in some ways a freaking miracle in and of itself. Normal people have come together to work for years on one goal, to bring you fun and happiness, so it helps to remember that, and them. He doesn't mention Starfield by name once in this thread, but it's hard to imagine he could be talking about anything else. Unlike most Bethesda RPGs, which are just about universally acclaimed, Starfield fell flat. It's a good game, but when it held up to the last 20 years of Elder Scrolls and Fallout, it's just not good enough. But amidst the valid criticism or over-torqued complaints suggesting that Starfield is flat-out hot garbage, the maker of the Skyrim Together mod, for instance, recently announced that they'd abandoned it. This is what Tim was just talking about. Flat out hot garbage. The maker of the Skyrim Together mod, for instance, recently announced that they'd abandoned working on a planned Starfield Together mod because this game is flippin' trash. That's probably a bit much. There's acknowledgement that some criticism of Starfield is over the top in some of the replies to Pagliarulo's tweet, but others make the point that you don't have to know how to make a Twinkie to know when one tastes bad. That maybe misses Pagliarulo's central thesis a little bit, talking more about the process than the end result, but I think it's a valid position. I don't know anything about producing a TV show after all, but I do know why Manimal got canceled, and I'm still making jokes about it. Ultimately, Pagliarulo's not wrong. Even getting a small indie project from concept to launch is a Herculean feat, and as much as the lazy developers trope has taken hold in recent years, the reality is that just about everyone involved is making a game is fully committed and working hard to make it happen. Really is, as Pagliarulo said, just about a miracle that a lot of these games ever see the light of day. But I also have to wonder if he's maybe stirring up the waters unnecessarily. It's a valid perspective from a respected industry veteran, yes, but it also makes me think of Bethesda's campaign of posting cheeky responses to negative Starfield reviews. on Steam, sometimes it's better to just leave it well enough alone. In any event, Bethesda isn't done with Starfield yet. The studio recently said that the all-new ways of traveling through the game, along with numerous other fixes and enhancements, are coming in future updates planned for this coming year. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. I think that we see it a lot with big companies too, right? I mean, I think the bigger a company gets, the more people they hire, the more polluted they become with people that don't actually have a great idea of what fantastic video games are. They're more business-minded people, you know, and it really starts messing with the process. And some studios have continued to get very large and do a very good job. Larian, a prime example of a current studio that is killing it, doing a great job. They're very big, you know. I mean, I can name some AAA studios that still seem like they're doing great stuff, end over end. You know, Tango, the more recent article that we just did on YouTube about Santa Monica Studios, you know, they're doing great stuff, and not just doing great stuff, but in a content capacity, but also doing great things for their fan base and consumer base also. So I think there are ways about. I think anybody that thinks that game development is easy is out of their minds. I'm not a game developer, and I'm quite aware that game development is a very, very complex beast, right? Especially whenever you start talking about these massive companies with so many different divisions. It's so critical that communication is fluid. You know, you be very agile in the process of the project, so you can account for different things that you're not expecting to happen, so that you can be fluid and change and pivot when you need to pivot and things like that. You know, it's a difficult thing. The larger a company gets, the more moving parts there are, and it's definitely a difficult thing to navigate. Yeah, but I do think that quite often they lose sight of what has made them great in the first place. They get too it almost seems like 8 times out of 10 these companies just get too polluted with business-minded people that have no idea what it means to create a great video game anymore, and the quality of their products suffer for it, you know. So yeah, I agree with that. You know, unfair criticism. Yeah, I mean, this is if you're in the look, I talk about this a lot, especially on the AAA front. You want to talk about massive budgets, right, for these video games, and we're at a stage now with video game development where as much, if not more, than half of the budget for games is being put into promotion and marketing for the games, as opposed to the actual game creation itself, right? So a lot of these companies get more worried about actually promoting these products, over-promising, right? Over-promising, hyping up these products, and then how many times do we see it happen where the product gets released, it doesn't fulfill the promises of the content that was supposed to be in it, or it gets released and it's not finished? So absolutely, you should be criticized. Yeah, at the end of the day, these are businesses. The industry they're in is providing us as the consumer with a product of a video game. And if they're not doing what they promise in providing us with the content that they told us they were going to give us and a finished project, a finished product, right? That we can fully functional play on release, they absolutely deserve to be criticized. Now, you can't ever make everybody happy. That's just a fact. So, you know, we all know that. These companies have to understand that. You've just got to learn how to have a little bit of some thick skin, because it's inevitable you're going to get some Karens out there that just can't make some people happy. They're going to look to find anything and everything they can to be unhappy about, to be critical of, right? But that just comes with the territory. It doesn't change the fact that you're in the business of providing us as the consumer with a product. And if you're not meeting those expectations and those promises of a fully finished product that contains all the content you promised, you should get wrecked. You should be criticized. You shouldn't be able to continue creating products, honestly. People should quit buying your stuff and you should dissolve. If you're not giving us finished quality products, I'll stand by that.